This is $1 million in cash. In today's video, I'm gonna show you the fastest, easiest, simplest way to put this kind of money in your bank account. Now, first of all, I want to congratulate you. If you search for a video like this and you're actively trying to become a millionaire, you know the way that money like this could change your life. And by the way, before you haters say this in the comments, yes, it is play money. It's not real money. But I put this money on the table to help you visualize what it's going to look like when you make your million. I want you to imagine not having to financially struggle anymore, not having to do things you hate for money, and just having the security and the confidence to do the things that you want. It can be yours. You just have to follow the blueprint that I'm about to give you in this video. So before I go into the specific tips, I just want to say, obviously, it's not possible to just watch one YouTube video and know everything you need to know about becoming a millionaire. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you the big picture blueprint to becoming a millionaire, and I'm going to show you some resources that you can use to take your education further. So I just want to get that across. You can't watch one YouTube video and become a millionaire, but I can show you the way and show you the resources that you can go to for further learning. All right, so let's talk about how you can become a millionaire. The first step towards you becoming a millionaire is going to be to stop saying the word millionaire. Now, I know I just said that word about 10 times, but the reason why I did it is because I know that's what most people say, and that's what kind of catches people's attention. That's what people are searching for. But now that I got you on this video, that's going to be the last time we say it. Instead, what we're going to say is, I want to get a net worth of $1 million or $2 million or whatever it might be. And here's why the word millionaire is actually toxic and why you need to avoid that word. The word millionaire originated in the early 1800s when $1 million was an unbelievable amount of money. Back at that time, if you had $1 million, it was basically equivalent to being a billionaire in today's money. It was just an unbelievable, fabulous, unreal sum of money that most people could never hope to attain. Today, $1 million is worth much less money. Because of that, it's much more attainable for people like us to become millionaires. Becoming a millionaire no longer means that you have the wealth to buy anything. Really, becoming a millionaire now means that you're upper middle class. You're living a very comfortable life. You're certainly financially secure. You're on your way to becoming rich, but you're not exactly Bill Gates yet. So that's why I feel that you need to avoid the word millionaire. And this is one thing that I've noticed among a lot of my friends who don't have very much money, but who want to make money, and among a lot of my wealthy friends. Many of my friends who don't have that much money will set that as a goal. They'll say, I want to be a millionaire. They'll even do affirmations and repeat it in the mirror over and over again. But I don't know anyone who has said that who has ever achieved the goal. That's because the word millionaire itself sets the goal up as a huge, unattainable thing, when really it's not. It's just a matter of how fast you get there. My friends who are millionaires, on the other hand, will never describe themselves as such. They'll never say, oh, I'm a millionaire. Instead, they'll say, my net worth is $1.5 million, or something like that. Now, when you describe things in that way, it seems much, much more attainable. And I'm going to show you a trick to make it seem even more attainable in your mind. Rather than saying my net worth is $1.5 million or I want a net worth of $1 million, I want you to refer to it how real millionaires do, as 1M, like you see on the screen right now. If you ever see real millionaires and people with more money than that writing an email, they will never write out the word million. They will say, I bought this property for 1.2 M. Now, it's a subtle distinction, but it's important. And here's why I think it's important. When you're talking about getting a net worth of 1M, that just seems much more realistic, and it's not a word which makes it seem like a distant, out-of-sight goal. After all, because of inflation, all of us will inevitably become millionaires. If you don't work that hard, it just might be when you're 70 or 80. But all of us are going to become millionaires one day. It's just a matter of how long it takes us. Becoming a millionaire is certainly a realistic goal, and it doesn't have to happen when you're older. It can happen in 3 years, in 5 years, in 7 years, and I'm going to show you how in the next few minutes. All right, so you strike the word millionaire from your vocabulary. Instead, what I want you to phrase your goal as is, I want my net worth to be 1M. Or if it's higher, I want my net worth to be 1.5 M or 2 M. That's the goal you want to write down. That's the goal you want to say in the mirror, and that's the way that you should be thinking about it. So here's your next step. You have to have realistic but aggressive expectations. And here's what I mean by that. Most people's expectations for becoming a millionaire are too realistic. They're like, oh, I'm just going to put a little bit of money in my 401k each year, and by the time I'm 65, I'll be a millionaire. Now, that seems like it's a logical approach, but most of the time it actually doesn't work, or it doesn't work fast enough. It could work a lot faster. Here's the reason why I don't agree with this approach. When your goals are ultra small and conservative like this, it becomes easy to lie to yourself and to tell yourself what you're doing is working to ultimately get you to become a millionaire. As an example of this, with my last company, I used to work with Mike Chang, great trainer who gave me some great fitness advice, and he would have an approach of getting clients fast but realistic results. For example, a common goal that he would set for clients is to lose 1 pound per week. So let's say if somebody wanted to lose 30 pounds, 30 weeks of focus, they get it done. That, I would say, is a good fitness goal. But what our friend wanted to do, one of our mutual friends that me and Mike Chang had, he wanted to do it slower and he wanted to make it a little easier. He had about 50 pounds to lose and he wanted to lose 1 pound per month. Now, it would seem like this makes the goal realistic, but it actually made it harder to achieve. That's because many months he would make no progress at all, and he wouldn't adjust his approach because, after all, it was only 1 pound per month. He's like, oh, I'm not that far off. I'm doing some things. I don't really need to make a change. If your goal for becoming a millionaire is not aggressive enough, the same thing might happen to you. Year after year might pass by where you just save a tiny amount of money and you might think, oh, I'm on track to achieve my goal in 30 years. But you're not. That's not good enough. You need to achieve it faster than that, and you need to set a little more aggressive goal than most people have. Now, on the other hand, some people set a goal that is too aggressive. And this can be equally bad because if you set an unrealistic goal, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Some people think that they can do some kind of get-rich-quick scheme and become a millionaire in, say, 3 months. Now, does that happen every now and then? Yes, but it's not a high probability chance of success. It's kind of like making your plan to become a millionaire playing the lottery. Yes, it's possible that that could work, but it's overwhelmingly likely to not work. So you need to set a realistic expectation. So, what is a realistic expectation for becoming a millionaire? I've read up a lot on this topic, and I'm going to show you where this recommendation comes from in just a minute. But what I found is that a realistic expectation to become a millionaire is between 3 and 7 years. The fastest you should expect to become a millionaire, if you're as aggressive as hell, is 3 years. If you're the most conservative person in the world, the longest you should expect to become a millionaire in, if you're focusing and doing things the right way, is 7 years. Now, in this period of time, it is realistic to start a company, to build it up and make a good amount of revenue, and then to sell your company. And in my opinion, that is the best way to become a millionaire. Now, many people have done this. Not too many people have done a get-rich-quick scheme or an MLM and become a millionaire in 6 months. But thousands and thousands of people, literally thousands, have started a company, built it up over the course of 5 or 6 years, and then sold it and became a millionaire. You can too. So first, just set that realistic expectation. So here's the next step on your journey. You want to buy the book, The Millionaire Fast Lane by MJ DeMarco. You can see the cover on the screen right now, and I'm linking to the book down in the description if you want to check it out on Amazon. That is an affiliate link, so if you click on it, I'll make a few bucks, and I'd appreciate it. But The Millionaire Fast Lane is the best big picture blueprint I have ever read towards becoming a millionaire. If you don't know the first thing about getting there, but you know you want to become a millionaire one day, that is the best way to do it. And yes, I'm aware it has the word millionaire in the title, but despite that, you should still buy this book. And let me tell you why. First of all, that expectation that I showed you of between 3 and 7 years, he goes into a lot more detail and shows you why that is the time frame that you should focus on to become a millionaire. He shows you why shorter than that is not that realistic and longer than that is too realistic and will make you accept slow progress. So I highly encourage you to check out the full book, but I'll give you a few of the highlights right now. In The Millionaire Fast Lane, MJ DeMarco explains why the traditional path to becoming wealthy, go to college, get a good paying job, invest a lot in your 401k, just do all the things you were taught to do, he shows you why that path is bullshit and why it usually doesn't work. This is the excessively realistic path that I was talking about before. A lot of people were taught to do that, but MJ DeMarco breaks down in detail why that path hardly ever works and how there is a better way. In the book, MJ DeMarco also breaks down exactly how he did it and what he thinks is the better way for you. And that is starting a business with the intention to sell that business from the very beginning and pursuing an exit within 3 to 7 years. Now, he doesn't go too much into detail into exactly how to do this, like exactly how to build your online business, but he gives you a great big picture blueprint, and he shows you why if you want to have a net worth of 1M, that should be your goal, and that is the fastest, easiest way to get there. Starting a business and selling it within 3 to 7 years. Here's the last major takeaway that I got from the book, which I think justifies reading it. In the book, MJ DeMarco explains why the much better way is to start a business that will get you to 1M in net worth as soon as you possibly can. If you just get there in a few years, he explains why it will all be worth it no matter what kind of business that you start, and how once you're there, that's the time to start your passion business from a position of strength. For example, MJ DeMarco himself always wanted to write books and to help people become entrepreneurs. But he knew that when he was broke, it'd be very difficult to start that kind of business. So what he did is he started a limousine company because for various reasons, he saw a lot of demand for that. He sold it, and now from the position of strength, he became a best-selling author. So his own story is an example of what you want to do. Maybe you don't want to become a best-selling author, but maybe you want to do some other type of business which isn't ideal for making money as fast as possible, but which is your passion in life. He shows you why the first thing you should do is get your M and then pursue your passion. So let's say you've gone through those steps. 3 to 7 years, you now know is a proper time frame, and you got your big picture blueprint of what your goal should be by reading the Millionaire Fast Lane. The next step after that is going to be to decide what kind of business that you want to start. And this is going to be a really critical decision. Most people, they just say, oh, I'm just so passionate about this type of business or that type of widget. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow my passion. That should be one factor in your decision. I just want to let you know that if you follow your passion, but there's no profit potential in it, then it's going to ultimately not work out for you. You're not going to make any money, and in the end, it's probably not going to be your passion anymore. It's actually going to ruin your passion for you. So consider that as one factor, but consider other factors as well. If you want to start a profitable business, what you need to do is you need to take a scientific, proven approach to getting a good idea. You can't just start the first business idea that pops into your head. And that's why when I start businesses, I use a process called the 6-factor profitability analysis. On the screen right now, you can see an example of an actual worksheet that I use to start businesses. Now, I don't just think about how passionate I am about the business, although that is one factor that comes in the end. What I do is I analyze every business idea that I have along 6 different factors. Just to run you through a few of these factors, the amount of engagement that an idea has on YouTube, because I tend to focus on YouTube, the gross profit margin of the business, or in other words, how much money you get from each sale after paying for the cost of the product. Another factor that I consider when I'm starting businesses is the potential for repeat sales. So those are just a few examples, and if you want to learn the full 6-factor profitability analysis system, pick up my book, The 15 Steps to Profitable YouTube Marketing. I'll walk you through exactly how to use that system. But regardless whether you use my system or not, you need to be using some type of objective analysis to determine what type of business idea you're going to go forward with. And equally important, you can't just go with the first idea that pops into your head. You should be brainstorming at least 10 different ideas for businesses before you start a business, and you should be choosing the best idea of the 10. Now, again, I don't mean to say that your passions and your personal preferences shouldn't matter at all, but you should use some type of profitability analysis to determine what can make money. Then you should go with the idea that you're most passionate about among high profit potential ideas. And here's one final tip that I have for you when you're choosing your business idea. You should only consider online business ideas. And I know many people have become millionaires with non-online businesses, but hear me out. Let me explain why this is. When you're starting an online business, you're putting technology on your side. Every year, life gets a little tougher for brick and mortar businesses because online businesses have a little bit more of an edge over them every year. With an online business, it's like you're swimming with the tide. Technology is helping you. With a brick and mortar business, you're swimming against the tide. You'll succeed despite progress in technology. Not a good place to be in. With a brick and mortar business, you're gonna have a lot more cost. You're gonna need to rent a location, you're gonna need to hire a lot of employees. It's a lot more difficult and capital intensive to start this kind of business. With an online business, you can start it much cheaper and much easier. Not only that, an online business is much more scalable. Let's say that you have a successful restaurant. You can scale that. You can open a second restaurant and a third restaurant and a fourth restaurant, but it's not that easy. Running 10 restaurants is way more difficult than running one. With an online business, it's much, much easier to scale. If you have a system that's working to make you a profit, you just turn up your advertising, you might hire a few more virtual assistants to handle your customer support, but that's pretty much it. You can make 10x the money without really doing 10x the work like you would have to do with a brick and mortar business. So, just to review, make sure you use some type of scientific analysis. I recommend the 6-factor profitability analysis, and make sure you're only considering ideas for online businesses. So, once you've done your analysis, once you've got your perfect idea, the next step is going to be to make your marketing plan. This, again, is a step that a lot of business owners neglect. Most business owners think, oh, I have a great idea for a product. My product or my service is going to be the best. It'll speak for itself. When people see my product or they see my service, they'll just know it's the best. And for them, marketing is almost an afterthought. They spend about 20% of their time on marketing and 80% of their time making their product. And what I want you to do is to flip that on its head. Really, if you're serious about becoming a millionaire, you need to spend at least 80% of your time on marketing. The reason for that is, in an online business, marketing is what's going to bring you customers. If you never get a customer in the first place, it doesn't matter how good your product is. You can retain a tiny number of customers for life, and you're never really going to get anywhere. You need marketing to get people in the door. Now, I know it is challenging to both have a great product and to spend 80% of your time on marketing. It is possible, though, if you create certain types of products. And really, I think the ideal setup is to have a partner that focuses on making a great product while you devote yourself entirely to creating great marketing. One partner in the business has got to be devoted to marketing at least 80% of the time. And if you can do that, you'll have a big advantage over other businesses. Now, obviously, I can't teach you everything you need to know about marketing in this one single video. Otherwise, it would be 20 hours long, but I can kind of point you in the right direction. First of all, I would say that you want to focus on online advertising. There are different ways to build an online business, but in my opinion, advertising is the easiest. It's the easiest, it's the most scalable, and it's the most repeatable. It relies the least on luck, and if you have a good strategy, you're the most assured of success. If you want to learn my approach to advertising, I recommend picking up my book, The 15 Steps to Profitable YouTube Marketing. I walk you through exactly how to build profitable YouTube marketing campaigns in detail. In the description below, I'm going to link you to a few other resources for other platforms and other aspects of marketing that I've used myself, just to kind of get you started. So that's the direction that you want to go in. You want to build your business with advertising, use the resources below to get started, and seek out your own resources. Do your own research and find the best experts to learn from. Then implement their plan over the course of the next few years. Here's the next step. Once you have your marketing plan, is that you need to devote the next 3 to 5 years of your life to implementing this plan. And you really need to be working hard during this time. Is it possible to become a millionaire in 3 or 4 years? Yes. Is it possible to work the 4-hour work week and to make a decent income? Yes, it's possible to do that. It's probably not possible to become a millionaire in 3 years working the 4-hour work week. If you're really serious about this, if you want to get a net worth of 1M, then you really need to spend a few years of focus. What I would say that means is at least 40 hours a week, maybe 50, 60, 70 hours a week, maybe working 6 days a week, maybe working 10 hours a day, whatever it takes for a couple years to get this business off the ground. Now remember, this is going to be building your freedom for your entire life. This won't just be your entire life devoted to the business. Eventually, you're going to sell this business and get an exit, and you're going to be able to work much less. Now, when I started my last business, Six Pack Shortcuts, now known as sixpackabs.com, I was working a lot. I would still go out on the weekends. I would still have some fun now and then, but I would probably work 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, and sometimes I would do some work on the weekends for the first couple of years. It wasn't permanent, and after the first couple of years, I could work much less, and I actually started working maybe 30, 35 hours a week. Still working, but less than the average person does. Now, obviously, there's more to it than that. You can't just put in hours doing bullshit and expect that you're going to become a millionaire. As I said before, you got to learn how to do the right things, and you got to put in those hours for a focused period of time. So let's say that you've done that. You've made your marketing plan. You devoted your life to this business for 3 or 4 or 5 years. I would say that you should plan on 5 years at the max, so you have a little bit of padding just in case things go slower than you think. But I would say 3 to 5 years should be your goal to get to your exit. And that is the next step, pursuing an exit from the business, which means selling the business. And here's why this is. There are some people who do become millionaires just by starting a lifestyle business, which they just continue to run. If you want to keep doing that, then you're free to do that, and that's a perfectly valid choice, works for a lot of people. But if your eventual goal is to live the 4-hour work week or to become a millionaire and to have time freedom and to have money at the same time, selling your business is going to be the best way to do that. And it's actually faster and easier to sell small businesses than it's ever been before at any time in history. So, how do you sell your business once you've built it up to the proper point? For most businesses, if your goal is to sell it for $1 million, you'll probably need to be making between $2 and $5 million in revenue, depending on exactly what your profit margins are. If you're making somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 a year in profit after the cost of your salary, in that point, you're probably going to be in a position to sell for $1 million. Now, there are a couple different ways to do this. The first way, the way that I did it, is to talk to business brokers, is to seek out investor groups, and to sell to a traditional investor. This could be a firm, or this could be an individual person at the level where you're just selling for $1 million. That's the traditional way to do it. But there's actually a better way to do it that a lot of people I know have done, which is faster and easier than the traditional way. What you can do is you can go on websites like flippa.com or Empire Flippers, or websites which are actually built specifically to sell online businesses. Now, the issue with a lot of investors, and especially with a lot of investor groups, is that because of the size of these companies, they're not interested in smaller deals. And I know from where you're sitting right now, an M doesn't seem that small, but to these guys, it's a small deal. They'll frequently spend $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on what's called due diligence, or basically just making sure that this deal is good. So if you spend $400,000 on due diligence, you got to do bigger deals to make that worthwhile. So it's difficult to sell a company for $1 million to an investor or investor groups. On these types of websites, though, it's much cheaper and much easier for investors to do the due diligence. And the investors are much more tech savvy. That means they can look at things like your Google Analytics, your Google Ads account, your Facebook ad accounts, and they're a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to looking at these numbers than the average investor. For the average investor, they're usually a really old traditional guy. They don't know the internet, so it's going to take them a long time to invest in the company. They're going to have to hire all sorts of consultants and technical experts to look at everything before they feel comfortable. On the other hand, sites like Flippa and Empire Flippers are full of guys and women that buy websites like this full time. They know what they're doing, and they're comfortable buying things in the $500,000 to $2 million range, which is where you're going to sell your business. So go on those sites. That should be your ultimate exit strategy. So let's say once you do all of that, you built your business up, you sold it on Empire Flippers or Flippa, and now you have a pile of cash. Say it's 1 million, 1.5 million, whatever it is. You got your M right here. What do you do with it? What you want to not do with it is you don't want to do what some of my friends did and blow it. Now, when you have this big pile of cash, especially if you've never really had a lot of money before, if you made this in 3 years, it's very, very tempting to start balling out, start buying Lamborghinis and renting private jets and all sorts of things like that. Don't do that. $1 million is going to go much faster than you expect if you don't spend it wisely. What you want to do instead is that you want to invest this money. Now, I've made another video about this, how to invest $1,000, but that applies equally to if you have $1 million, and you can use the strategies in that video in the description if you want to learn more about investing. What you want to do in the big picture, though, is you want to invest this money in stocks and bonds. You want to invest your money in a balanced portfolio of assets, which will provide you income for life without you having to work. Now, in my video, How to Invest $1,000, I recommend Betterment and Wealthfront and other websites that are called robo-advisors, or basically websites that make the investing process simple for beginners. You're a little bit different though by this point. Once you have $1 million, you're probably much more sophisticated in business than the average person. So what I want you to do is to invest your money with Vanguard. Vanguard is an investment company that sells what's called index funds. Index funds are mutual funds that don't try to beat the market. They essentially just buy every company in the market, or they buy every bond offered in the market, and they essentially attempt just to match the market return. Watch the other video if you want more details about this, but basically I've learned from a lot of study, a lot of years of experience, that this is the best investing approach. Especially if you don't want to worry about it, if you don't want to worry about losing all your money and having to start over again, invest your money with Vanguard. All right, so that is your big picture blueprint to becoming a millionaire. First, you stop saying the word millionaire and you start saying 1M. I want to have a net worth of 1M or 2M or whatever it might be. Then you set a realistic expectation. Between 3 and 7 years is the best expectation. After this, you read the Millionaire Fast Lane, the best big picture blueprint to becoming a millionaire out there. Next, you realize that to build up a business in 3 to 5 years that will make you a millionaire, you gotta learn marketing. So you learn marketing skills, you make your marketing plan, and you devote a good amount of your time in this new business to marketing. Once you have your plan, you dedicate the next 3 to 5 years of your life to this business. You really focus in, you really buckle down, and you do the work that you need to do to have a lifetime of freedom. After you've done that, once your company is at the point where it's realistic to sell it for $1 million, you go on Flippa, you go on Empire Flippers, or one of these sites intended for people like you who are selling small businesses, and you sell your business. And then finally, once you get your M, you don't blow it, you invest it. You invest it with Vanguard in a balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds, and you live happily ever after off the earnings. So that is your realistic but aggressive big picture blueprint to becoming a millionaire. Now, obviously, I said you live happily ever after, but most people who get their M later go on to do even bigger and better things. At that point, you'll probably want to pursue a passion business, or you probably, if you're young, you won't just sit around golfing and retiring your entire life. You're going to be doing something else more exciting with your life. And I promise you, I know it seems like a lot right now to devote your life to work for the next 3 to 5 years, but it is worth it. It is so worth it to spend a few years for a lifetime of freedom. And I'm just looking back at my 20-year-old self when I made that decision, and it was really the best decision I ever made. So I hope that motivates you to pursue your M right here, and I'm really looking forward in these videos to helping you get there. Now, if you want some more specifics into how you can build a business that makes you your M, how you can get those marketing skills, I recommend you pick up my book, The 15 Steps to Profitable YouTube Marketing. It's been called by many people the world's leading guide to YouTube marketing, and it shows you everything you need to know about building a profitable business using YouTube ads. I explain in this book why YouTube marketing is the #1 best opportunity to build a business online and why you should be doing it. I show you everything you need to know about building a business with YouTube ads, how to script great ads, how to film them, how to edit them, how to set up your campaigns in Google Ads, how to eventually hire people to do the work for you so you can scale up your campaigns. Everything you need to know, start to finish. And the best part is, this book is free. Click Claim Book below if you want to get a copy, and you can get a copy for free on my website. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.